Hello everyone, what is going on there? It is Engeri here today. A couple of things before we begin our part 3 tutorial. First and foremost, you can probably hear that my voice maybe is a little bit different. I've been drinking some tea, maybe it's not that bad right now, but I am a little bit sick, so if my voice sounds a little bit off, that is why. I actually started making this video and then I realized that I had already covered what I was talking about, which was sort of ironic. But anyway, in this video, we are going to take a look at politics, laws, intelligence, theaters, and we're also going to start looking at different kinds of tactics that you're going to utilize on the battlefield. One more thing I want to mention is that, like you probably just heard, we're now squeezing a little bit more content into each video to finish up this tutorial series, as I sort of want to finish it off and move on to Hearts of Iron 4, as I believe that there's a lot more of you guys playing out there, and I think that the statistics are on my side. So the politics tab isn't the tab you'll be spending the most time in Hearts of Iron 3, if I'm completely honest, but it is still very important. This is where you change all the leaders in your government, and it is also the place where you change your laws. And now these laws are extremely important. The most important ones are your conscription laws, and your civil laws, as well as your economic laws. The rest are sort of, they're there, but they're not that important. Generally speaking, the laws that are in the bottom of each category are the best laws. Obviously, they'll be the most uncomfortable for your people, but there's no negative aspect of having, for example, a propaganda press, basically, in Hearts of Iron 3, other than the fact that you won't drift as much. The same goes for the economy. You'll have 50% less money, but it's not really going to matter at all. And you can have different kinds of laws depending on what the most popular political party is. And you can obviously affect this through what you do in the game, but also through the intelligence tab, and we're going to look at that next. However, still talking about the politics tab, this is also where you mobilize and demobilize your army. Now, I think I talked about this somewhat extensively in one of my first videos. Essentially, back in the day, or we still have mobilization today, but it's very rare that you actually hear about it. But anyway, a country obviously doesn't have a shitload of people in their military on a day-to-day basis. What's most common in militaries today, and especially back in the 1930s, like this game takes place, is that you have certain units that are not mobilized in peacetime. Like, for example, the US National Guard is such a thing. Back in the day, you would have even more restricted unit types that would pretty much only exist if there ever was a crisis. So what mobilization does is that it pretty much just takes a load of people out of your country, or out of your man pool rather, and assigns them to divisions. That's essentially what mobilization does. If you are mobilized, obviously you're going to be a higher threat to the countries around you, as mobilization is something that is generally only done in times of war and emergency. From the politics tab, you can also create puppets. Now, puppets are essentially states that are under your control, meaning that you control every part of their country. You won't control their units or their factories, but their country will be allied with you, and they will also join all of your wars. And if the AI decides to, you'll also be able to get some of their units. I think you can also request to get their units. And once a country is puppeted, you do no longer have to worry about these revolt risks, which is probably one of the major reasons to having puppets in the first place. And obviously, it's going to be up to you if you think it's worth having puppets or not. In my case, I really need the industrial capacity that I have right now to produce more units for my country. But if I was, for example, losing a war, I might actually create puppets of Hungary, Austria, and Albania, perhaps even Bulgaria, just because I would get a lot more units, as the way manpower works in Hearts of Iron 3 is that I'm not getting all the manpower that the countries once had. Like, most of the people in Austria isn't willing to fight in the Yugoslavian military. It makes sense. They're gonna reject that quite quite frequently, and the same goes for Hungary and Bulgaria and Albania as well. So you're only getting a very small percentile of their manpower pool to actually join in your military. But if the country are puppeted, that country that is puppeted will have 100% of their units there. So that's pretty much it for the politics tab. There's not too much else to say about it. You can go in here and replace different kinds of politicians depending on what is available to you. Some politicians give certain amounts of stats. This guy gives more intelligence in peacetime. This guy gives lower suspectability to the Axis if I want to join that. Go in and play with it. It's pretty simple, all this kind of stuff right here. Next up is the intelligence tab. Now this is where you affect your own country internally as well as other countries which are obviously external. Now, one of the most important things that I think I talked about in the first episode that we made is the national unity, and I think I also mentioned it in the second part. National unity essentially is how many of your important cities the enemy needs to capture before your country will automatically surrender. Right now I have set the priority so that I will use some of my spies to raise the national unity so that I won't surrender as fast, and I've not put spies into anything else. Now let's say that we are going to invade Romania, which we actually are pretty soon, I'd say. We're obviously gonna need to send some spies over to Romania. You can also sort this list by how many spies you have deployed, and right now you can see that we only have a couple of spies in Denmark and the United Kingdom. So they have one spy here. You can also attempt coup, as I've never really seen that work in action, to be honest. But anyway, we're gonna send the maximum amount of spies we can to Romania, and we're gonna do military espionage on them so we can actually see more about where their divisions are. And let's start by taking a lot of our divisions and placing them over at the Romanian border here. Now, what you can probably tell from the victory point map mode is that Romania's victory points are awfully close to my border, which for them is a very bad thing and a very good thing for us, as we'll be able to, we'll most likely be able to take out Romania quite fast, as they are still unmobilized, and a bunch of other things here. We actually got a mountain unit. So we've now placed our entire army along the Romanian border. I can only imagine how stressed the Romanian government is right now. But anyway, we've sent a lot of spies into Romania, you can tell right here. And from the map already, you can see that we now have a much larger range, and we're seeing a lot more of the Romanian military. For example, we can already see that they have a unit up here. This is thanks to espionage, and the same actually goes with this unit right here. So in doing that, we now have a more complete understanding of where Romanian military units are and aren't stationed. Obviously, these units will appear and disappear as spies are no longer reporting on them. Right now you can tell that they do have quite a lot of units in their capital, which is understandable. And they have, I would imagine, quite a few along the borders here as well. So I think that right now they don't actually have any spare units just sort of standing around down here. And with that information, you can plan quite aggressively how your military operations will be. The next thing I want to talk about is theaters. Now, I already said in my primary video in Hearts of Iron 3 about, or in the tutorial, that I have sort of a bad relationship with this this tab. This tab is something that you're mostly going to use if you use the AI's built-in combat measures that the AI have. If you set up an entire structure where the AI controls all of your units, the theaters will be very useful, as you can set different kinds of stances towards different fronts. Like, let's imagine that I'm fighting with Yugoslavia, or not, I'm fighting with Soviet Union rather, on one front, and and Germany is on the other front, and I might want to, let's say, defend against the Germans, and I want to push the Soviets. You can do that from the theaters tab. You can see you can have different kinds of stances. You can also see that the primary headquarters, which is Beograd HQ, that's sort of the leading military unit, is also reporting on what kind of forces it has and what kind of needs it has. Right now it just says bomber simply because we haven't given the unit any kinds of or we haven't given our HQ any really, or we haven't given our headquarters any orders. So we are doing everything ourselves right now. That's the most important thing here. So I really don't have too much to say about the theaters tab, as I have used it pretty much never. I think the only time I've actually used the theaters tab is maybe while playing the Soviet Union, where when I was starting out the game and I didn't know anything. If once you're started this game, you're not going to need the theaters tab at all. So at this point, we're actually basically done with all the basic aspects of Hearts of Iron 3. We've talked about all the resources, the productions, the technology, the politics, the intelligence, the theaters. I can also mention real quick, there's a statistics tab if you're looking for something real specific. For example, this tab can be quite useful. You can see different kinds of losses and different kinds of war right here, for example. Well, there's no statistics here right now, sadly. Well, that's fine, but there would be statistics in there if you are in a war. Now, speaking of war, we're going to go to war, and I'm going to show you how to do that. In Hearts of Iron 3, you have something called Neutrality, and I've set my neutrality to 0 because I find neutrality to be extremely fucking annoying. But the way you declare war generally is by justifying to conquer something that you have a claim on. In this case, we don't actually have any claims on Romania, but we have no neutrality, so we can invade them anyway. Basically, all you really need to know to declare war is that you need to have-ish a plan. You need to have your units to either defend or attack their borders. And all of your units need to be properly organized and have the right equipment. So let's just station all of our units where we want them, and let's start the war when we can. We're getting some new units here as well. That's really useful. We're sort of lacking on units. So now you can tell we have our entire army set up, we're ready to go to war. Everyone is more or less properly organized, and we have a basic plan. We're just going to go straight for their victory points here in the north and in the south as well. We're going to station this guy a little bit further up. So with that being said, let's just click on one of their provinces, click on Declare War, and let's do Conquer in this case. If you want to puppet them, you can do that directly. But generally speaking, Conquer is the most useful one, as you can sort of decide, depending on the situation, what you want to do with them. So that's it. That is the war sounds. Now, instantly, once we go to war, we have a lot more options on what kind of laws we can have. So straight away, you can tell that we can now have a total economic mobilization law. We can have service by requirement in our military, meaning we will have like 5 times more manpower. A bunch of more stuff, which is very, very useful to us. Straight away, let's just start by attacking all the remaining units across the board here. Keep them busy. So we've selected their units. We're now ready to go to war, actually. Fucking Pokemon Go! Sending me messages. Alright. Like I mentioned, you can tell that Romania hasn't mobilized any of their units. So this attack is a complete shock to them. They're just dying. They're not doing very well. Which is understandable considering the circumstances. Let's just speed things up and see what's gonna happen. You can tell the war is going very well in our favor right now. What we're going to do here is we're going to try and surround the capital, which is a very quite known tactic. This is to try and take it quite quickly. Let's do a encirclement style attack here. And let's keep pushing this guy over to the north. This guy can go in this direction, that's good. You can see we already control one of their victory points here. They have one unit in the north, but they are not really doing anything with it, so we're just gonna fucking ignore it. Even if they walk around our lines, it's gonna be a highly counterproductive thing. I would rather send that unit away. So we have quite a lot of divisions. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 divisions, I believe. 5. What the fuck? No, we do have 7. 7 divisions to fight in the Romanian capital. And once we've taken the capital, we'll have conquered them because we control all of their victory points. So let's see how the battle for the capital is going to do. It's not doing that well right now, but once we have encircled them, it will probably go a lot better. Let's send this guy here and then do that kind of attack. So, bam! That was pretty much it. We conquered Romania. First thing you're going to notice is that our laws have been passed back to the original laws because we are no longer at war and we can no longer take service by requirement laws. Reinforced conquer in Romania and annex of Romania. Most wars you're going to fight is not going to be anywhere nearly this smooth. I mean, we had a huge advantage over Romania right here. We had spies in their country. Their victory points are very, very close to us. We just had all kinds of advantages that the Romanians didn't have. But I just wanted to show you how easy it, generally speaking, is once you actually hold their victory points. Now, I did show you a couple of basic tactics, but I want to explain a couple more. Now, the most, I would say, famous military tactic is obviously encirclement. It means basically having enough troops to go around and trap your enemy units, meaning that they cannot retreat. They will be out of supplied, they will be outmanned, outgunned, and it will be a very easy victory for you. It is especially useful when conquering cities. It's not that useful for capital cities because supplies are distributed from the capital city, but it's still very, very useful as you can pile a lot of divisions in on a single attack. So the final topic that I want to cover for this specific video is building certain fortifications for different kinds of regions. Now, you obviously saw that we just captured Romania, but our military is quite small compared to the kind of land we control. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to produce a bunch of forts with the Soviet border because I know that the Soviets want to capture the region of Bessarabia. I'm not really sure if that's how you pronounce it. But they want to capture this state as they do have a claim on it a little bit later in the game. So let's start by building some land forts. And the way you do this is basically just by clicking the province and then clicking on the specific region you want forts to be in. So we're just going to build level 1 forts in every region. So let's just start by doing that, basically. Oops. So we've clicked on building provinces or building forts in every one of these provinces. They will now appear in our constructions tab, and we'll have to align industrial capacity to the productions to make them move forward at all. So let's start by doing that. You can obviously tell we can't have that much of our industrial capacity on building these forts, but we'll have a little bit. And the same thing goes for any kind of provincial building. Like, you'll need to go in here and just click on the type of base that you want or type of thing that you want. Obviously, you can't build coastal forts in an inland province, and you'll need the correct technology to build the kind of thing that you want. For example, I can't build a nuclear reactor because I don't have nuclear technology. And the same goes for radar, and coastal forts right now as well are not unlocked because I do not have advanced construction technology or whatever it's called. Let's see. Yeah, construction engineering and advanced construction engineering. The next thing I want to cover quite briefly is AI-controlled headquarters. Now, when you're a large country like the Soviet Union, Germany, or whoever, it may be a little bit too much micro-controlling every division that you have, and that's why you have the opportunity to let the headquarter be automated. Right now, you can see that we haven't aligned or set any kinds of priority or objective for our main headquarter here. So let's start by first and foremost bringing everything to a defensive stance on our army front. Defensive for air, defensive for naval as well. Oops. So we've just gone in and we've selected defensive stance overall. We haven't given the AI any specific objectives yet. So right now we're just going to let the AI basically control everything here. Let's turn on automation for everything. Yeah, let's just see what the AI does with our armies now. I haven't given it any kind of specific goals. It's just supposed to figure it out on itself. Let's just see what it does. I really fucking hate the trade agreements in this game. Holy shit, it's fucking cancer. So what you can tell is that the AI has distributed our units relatively successfully. It's set everything to a certain kind of priority. They've sent our units relatively decently, other than the border with Greece, where they have no units. They've sent a few over to the Soviet border. They've sent some to the Czechoslovakian border. Quite a few over to Italy/Germany as well. So I just wanted to show you how that works. Again, I'm going to be honest and say that I haven't really used the automation too much. I'm completely used to microing every single unit in my entire military. I know that a lot of Hearts of Iron players are going to be completely foreign to that idea. I've gotten comments before saying that that's absolutely ridiculous, but it's in my opinion, it's what works best. I don't think that the AI is actually smart enough to figure everything out on its own. Now, once you have your central headquarters selected, you can see that our AI has drawn out borders where they want to send troops. If we go into our theaters right now, you can tell that the AI has updated on what kinds of needs it has. In this case, you can see that it has a lot of needs on our different kinds of fronts. So we can actually start by building what it needs. It's obviously going to be quite a bit of things. Realistically, so at this point, realistically, I would believe that I've actually shown you pretty much everything that you need to know to effectively play Hearts of Iron 3. Like I've mentioned in every Hearts of Iron 3 video that I have made, I have probably said things that are wrong, that are not correct, they're not efficient, and there's a lot of things that I haven't covered in detail, like very specific military tactics and stuff like that. This is just supposed to be a general overview on how to play this game. This is not supposed to be some kind of crazy tactical thing or anything along those lines. This is just how to play the game, how to get into it. So with that being said, I don't think I have that much more to show you guys. If there's some kind of specific things that you guys feel like I haven't explained well enough, please let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to I'll be happy to answer any kind of comment regarding things about Hearts of Iron 3 or about the video or about my channel in general. Ask in the comments and I'll answer. I answer all the comments anyway. So with that, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for stopping by. If you enjoy Hearts of Iron 3 type content and also Hearts of Iron 4, I do stream sometimes over at twitch.tv/Engeri. You can stop by there if you like. We have a decent amount of people stopping by there every once in a while. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, whenever that is. Take care.